go. All right, so Dulcie, I will hand it over to you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for spending your little bit of your midday with Cam and I. We're excited to share about two specific resilient building initiatives that we're currently doing at SVP. So glad to spend a little bit of time with y'all. I don't think it'll take the full hour, but if it does, great. Definitely open to questions. We have some time at the end for questions, but can definitely take them throughout if that's better for folks. So we'll get started. Okay, next slide.
And I'm sorry, Dulcie, I meant to introduce you. Do you want to introduce yourself to the team for folks who might not know you yet?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. So I am our recovery programs program and project manager. And so I work closely with Thomas and the executive directors to support our national rebuilding grants and some of our national initiatives that we have, including the Fortified program that I'm going to talk about here in a moment, as well as other miscellaneous projects. I started with SVP as an AmeriCorps member in New Orleans, and so kind of done a variety of roles over the years. So that's who I am, and then I'll let Cam introduce himself whenever he starts his part of it. So before we talk about the two particular initiatives that we're going to cover, just wanted to kind of talk a bit about, or lay the ground a bit for a second on the what and the why in regards to resilient building. So this chart on this slide represents extreme weather events and showing that they're becoming more and more costly as the years go on in the United States specifically. Important to point out that this particular graphic only is showing billion-dollar events that are large and not necessarily those smaller events that are still rather damaging. And so we know that severe weather is becoming more and more frequent, and the impact of it is becoming more and more severe. And so that's where resilient building really kind of takes place and steps in. So just to kind of set some kind of definitions here, resilient building is construction or design techniques that help promote a structure such as home, for example, in our work, that promotes its ability to kind of adapt and really bounce back more quickly after a disturbance or an interruption such as a storm. And so we can't stop these disasters from happening, but what we can do is we can take control over how our own resources, such as the buildings that we are building or repairing, how they are impacted by weather like this. So again, just kind of laying the stage for why resilient building is important and kind of how what these severe weather events have kind of looked like over the past numerous of years. Next slide.
Great. I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Quinlan. I had started with SVP in 2017 doing AmeriCorps terms. I worked with other conservation groups in California in 2018 and 2019 before coming back and joining as staff with the response to Dorian here in the Bahamas, where I've been ever since. And today I'm going to be talking about this PVC cabinet project that is ongoing. I did talk about this a bit on a all staff call a couple of months ago, just going over how we got to where we're at now, because at that phase, the order for the states had not yet arrived. So I might breeze over some of the history of how we got to where we are today, but focusing on the resilient factors that we want homeowners and donors and our team to be aware of and talking to clients and others, because it's something we're really excited about as far as resiliency goes. So yeah, I'll get into the history of it. If you could go to the next slide, please, Kyle. Great. So the pictures here are all from Dorian, featuring Kyle showing one of the average floodwater levels. We definitely saw even higher than that there. You can see pictures of some of the homes we mucked and gutted, which initially during our response. Mold remediation was something we were doing exclusively, which involves removing a lot of material from homes, including base cabinets. And that's something you see that's just going to be going to landfills, like in those piles that we see outside the children home in the top left. And so once we transition into rebuilding, we were inspired by research we'd done and also knowing the PVC cabinet variation that Puerto Rico uses. And we wanted to start a sort of pilot program to see how we could do something similar because, yeah, trying to avoid having all those things go into landfills and just knowing that replacing cabinets can be $1,000 for homeowners. And if everyone's trying to get cabinets after a storm such as Dorian, it's almost impossible. When we had ordered IKEA cabinets for our rebuilding, it was impacted by COVID and took months and months and months to even receive those. And it's a product that is wood composite. So were they to flood, those would have to be removed from homes. Next slide, please, Kyle. So we had settled on using a PVC solid board material after doing research and finding all these resilient qualities. If you're familiar with PVC plumbing pipes, the white ones, it's similar to this. Oftentimes you can see those running underground, and that kind of lends to or informs us about its durability, its non-toxic qualities, and yeah, it's a great construction material in that way because first of all, it's non-toxic, as I said, so homeowners can safely store food in there, and the waterproof and non-porous qualities of the plastic mean that if this was to be fully submerged in water, it can be dried out, wiped down, and this also has to do with its low maintenance qualities. It's super easy to clean, and being that it's plastic, it's also termite resistant. In southern regions and in the Bahamas, we do see termite damage in some homes. Again, that's another costly thing that we're avoiding in having these for homeowners once they're no longer our clients technically and they are living in these homes. It also has a good flammability rating in that it's the solid PVC boards. And down the line, 10 years or so, if they were trying to replace these, the PVC itself can be recycled. Next slide, please, Kyle. So after a development phase, and this was informed by resiliency working groups that we had and also work by Andy Stofflith, we worked with a production company called Reflex Asia that helped us come up with a design that would fit in the Bahamas. The packaging you can see up above and you might have seen in your warehouse spaces was designed to have our logo on it. And that's for us, of course, and it's something we're proud of, but having other nonprofits possibly see this in the future and the potential of partnerships in the future to get these into more homes is one we're excited about. And also the fact that we're providing more value to our donors, knowing that in the inevitable next flood or whatever is to happen, that homeowners wouldn't have to get rid of these cabinets. And we're also really excited just by the design, which is kind of comes from IKEA cabinets. So it has this modern aesthetic that can fit in a multitude of homes, which was important to us because thinking through in the future with our stateside operations, these could possibly be welcomed into the newer construction that we're doing and not look out of place. Stateside to the cabinet countertops can be chosen by the homeowner construction team to fit the design of the home. Next slide, please, Kyle. So here you can see some of the diagrams of a mock-up of the stateside ones, which I should note there's 4 bases there. So these can be configured in a multitude of ways. You could add on to more of them. Stateside, we wanted to invest in a larger product, just knowing the standards that people expect there, just with more storage. In the Bahamas, we saw a lot of smaller kitchens. And so with that design, we were working with the producer. We wanted something that could fit in every home without being out of place. And we did include the countertops there, and homeowners have been really happy about these. And yeah, we even have some that had been stored outside because one of the people that helped us to purchase them, the partners had an extra set that they've had outside for more than a year as like an outdoor kitchen, and it's held up great because, as I said, again, this is that same sort of material you see in plumbing pipes that can hold up to a lot and not really tarnish or anything. So stateside, we have the 100 sets that cleared the port and have been distributed and will be in homes soon. After that program is nearing completion, we'll think through where we want to take it. Additionally, down below, you can see a little breakdown of the pricing. We're excited about the price both in the Bahamas and stateside, and that it's not cost prohibitive. And again, it's a good value for our donors, grantees, and homeowners, being that we're not spending exorbitant amounts on them. Just for reference, the Bahamas, the material cost is $863 for that small unit versus the 1900 stateside ones. Next slide, please, Kyle.
Hey, Cam, one question that we got is, how did you end up finding Reflex Asia?
Well, I definitely would have to give credit to Andy in that case, because he is just a great networker. And I think it came about because there's a lot of expats, British expats in the Bahamas. And so it was a connection of a connection that he had made. And yeah, it kind of happened fluidly from there. I was just telling Dulcie yesterday, this Reflex Asia group is cool in that they produce a lot of different things. And I think Andy could maybe confirm if I'm wrong, but 99% sure they produce the block making machine that we're using in St. Vincent. So it's definitely a cool group. And we have talked about, I would like to look into seeing about stateside opportunities for producing something like this to keep the costs down, but that would be something we do in the future. But for right now, Reflex Asia has been great in providing the first 50, the second 50 we ordered for the Bahamas, and the 100 stateside. So in talking about all this and the future opportunities I touched on, I think the thing we want AmeriCorps members and other team members to take away is just that if you have ideas and you're the person on the ground, like in the Toyota way, that's seeing the production and can inform leadership and others about areas of improvement that you see, speak up and talk to your coworkers. And yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for resilient building that we're looking into, and we're always open to ideas of others that we can implement. I'll let Dulcie now talk about the fortified standards, and if anyone has any question about the PVC, we can talk at the end or even offline. Thank you, Kyle.
Cool, thanks, Cam. All right, now we're going to transition to fortified, which is another resilient building measure that we've incorporated across our rebuilding sites. So next slide, we're gonna start with a brief video to kind of introduce folks, or maybe you remind folks who are familiar with what fortified is.
Please let me know if y'all can't hear audio. I forgot that there was a video in here, and there might be a setting that I needed to select. In fact, let me just pause and stop share.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, can you all see the video again? Or
Yes.
the deck? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Year after year, severe storms along the coast and far inland prove just how vulnerable homes, businesses, and communities are when it comes to natural disasters. To help prevent further destruction, the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, known as IBHS, created the Fortified programs. Specific design and construction standards give home and business owners options to better protect their buildings against hurricanes, hailstorms, low-level tornadoes, and severe thunderstorms. A strong quality control component ensures owners are getting the protection they deserve. There are several fortified programs, all based on objective, science-based building techniques. This video focuses on the Fortified Home program, which addresses the natural hazard posing the biggest risk in a specific area. The construction standards can be used to build a new home or upgrade an existing home. Using data from more than 20 years of storm damage investigations in the field by IBHS and other experts, along with data from laboratory testing at the IBHS Research Center, Fortified Home provides a uniform set of superior building standards, standards that are stronger than most state building code requirements. Homeowners and builders work with Fortified Home evaluators throughout the construction or retrofitting process to make sure they achieve the desired level of disaster protection that best fits their budget. The roof, a home's first line of defense against Mother Nature, provides a comprehensive roof system designed to keep both wind and water out. A fortified roof features a wind-driven rain management system for advanced protection against water damage. It also provides superior wind uplift resistance by using ring shank nails, which provide double the strength of nails used on traditional homes. The silver level adds extra protection by strengthening building openings, such as windows and doors, to keep out wind, water, and flying debris. The gold level designation ensures the house is tied together and has what engineers call a continuous load path. This means the roof is tied to the walls are tied to the floors, and the house is tied to the foundation. The continuous load path helps the home to stand strong when high winds try to tear it apart. After a certified third-party evaluator verifies all upgrades and critical construction details are complete, homeowners receive a designation certificate with a unique ID number that is valid for 5 years. Fortified Home provides cost-effective, consistent, and defined structural upgrades. These science-based construction practices reduce the risk of damage from extreme weather events and deliver meaningful value to homeowners. That is why Fortified has been endorsed by local, state, and federal government agencies and is being adopted by builders and contractors at all price points. For a complete description of Fortified Home benefits and requirements, visit disastersafety.org/fortified. Fortified works. It truly is the national standard for resilient construction.
Thanks, Kyle.
Year after
All right, you can go to the next slide. So just to
There we go. Sorry.
technical difficult, no worries. All right, so just to restate kind of what the video said, Fortified is a voluntary construction methodology that goes really above and beyond what code prescribes in communities across the United States, and it's backed by research, research to really reduce that financial loss, the suffering by homeowners or business owners caused by hurricanes, high wind, and hail. We're going to watch one more video. Kyle, next slide. Sorry, the video, next slide. We're going to watch one more video after this slide. So like the video described, there are 3 different levels to Fortified. There's roof, silver, and gold. I'm going to emphasize the roof level because that's what the bulk of what SAP's operating sites incorporate. So I'm just going to walk through these real briefly. So like I said, Fortified roof is where we spend, our operating sites spend a lot of their focus currently. And so that includes solely focusing, like the name says, on the roof by requiring super specific types of shingles and sheathing, a very specific nailing pattern, and sealing the roof deck. Like I stated, this goes above and beyond what is typical. And it's really attainable for most of our owner-occupied, rebuild, repair type projects that we are doing across our operating sites. Fortified silver goes a step above that. So incorporates everything that the roof standard has, but then it's looking at those openings that a home has, such as doors, windows, garages, chimneys, attached structures like carports. And so ensuring that those particular openings that we all know are highly susceptible to water coming in if they are, compromised. Fortified silver focuses on fortifying or reinforcing those particular parts of the homes. Fortified, and then lastly, in the highest level that you can achieve is fortified gold. And so this particular standard is we incorporate in our new builds across our opportunity housing program. And so for this one, it incorporates all the standards found in roof plus silver, and then it takes it a step further by ensuring that the connecting the whole structural frame of the house. So the roof is tied to the walls tied to the floor, and the floor tied to the foundation, making it a super kind of continuously connected structure. Briefly, just wanted to point out, as you can see on the slide, there's two different columns here, one for hurricane and one for high wind. There are variations in what's required based on where property is located and what IBHS has determined the risks are in that area. All of our operating sites follow that hurricane standard because it's where we are working. That's the standard that applies to our regions. The next slide, Kyle, we're going to watch a video. This one's a little bit shorter, that shows the gold standard being put to the test in IBHS's, their testing center.
Thanks, Dulcie. We did get a question from Andy. Do you know how much more a fortified roof costs, say on a 1,000-foot square house versus traditional?
Yeah, I should have pulled most updated numbers, but it's not substantially more. I'm going to say it's less than $1,000 to go from kind of what code is required up to what fortified requires.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So what this video is showing, I'll kind of commentate a little bit, is the home on the right. It is that gold standard fortified in place, while the other home, the one you can see being blown away, is just built to standard code. So that really shows a good visual that shows kind of the just the resiliency of building to fortified. All right, I want to briefly talk about how our construction teams implement fortified at their projects. So first, every construction staff on our team has completed a fortified roof training, and they have a general understanding of what it means to or how to reach that fortified roof standard. And then additionally, many of our operating sites have identified a kind of go-to roofer or general contractor that they've worked with to ensure that they also understand how to build to the standard, because we really have to rely on our contractors to put the standards in place on our homes. In addition to having a roofer or general contractor that we kind of lean on to be the implementer of the standards on the job site, all of our sites have an evaluator that they work with who serves as kind of our compliance person. The evaluator there engage with our construction team throughout the entire building process to collect documentation that's required and to kind of be the go-between with IBHS, who does the final review for our projects. And so if all goes smoothly with construction and the documentation, our homes that are built to the fortified standard can receive a designation certificate from IBHS. And this certificate is shared with the homeowner, and it allows them to possibly receive incentives for their home being built to the fortified standard. Next slide. All right, I mentioned incentives on the last slide, so I want to touch briefly on a few that exist. So first is, and these aren't in any particular order in regards to like priority wise, but the first one I'm going to point out is that by building to fortified, it gets homeowners back home quickly. An example of this is in New Orleans after Hurricane Ida. So in New Orleans, I'm going to back up for a second. In New Orleans, we built, as y'all have probably heard, numerous rental properties, double duplexes in the lower 9th ward, and they were all built to the fortified gold standard. And so when Hurricane Ida came through New Orleans, those homes withstood that storm, very, very well. Roof damage was a common thing that we saw after Hurricane Ida in Louisiana, and our properties that were built to that standard, the biggest kind of impact they had were to the roof was there just some shingles missing. So that's kind of us seeing that us actually experiencing and seeing that the fortified standard being put to the test. Fortified can also have the potential for homeowners to potentially qualify for money saving discounts. This is something that is not standardized like across the country, and it really varies state by state, insurance provider by insurance provider. But there are some states that have insurance discounts for if you build your home or provide repairs to your home in a more resilient manner. Next is living sustainably. So by having a roof or a home that is more able to withstand severe weather, these homes in there don't end up in the landfill after a disaster. And then lastly is just peace of mind. I think we would all find comfort living in a home that is able to last and withstand severe weather. And so to be able to offer that to our clients is something we should be proud of. Next slide. All right, so we've talked about like what fortified is and what it looks like out in the field. And so a little bit of background on what it looks like specifically at SBP. So travelers insurance has been the initial and like longest supporter of our work at SBP in regards to building to fortified. They are allowed us to be able to like enter into doing this work with the huge financial investments over the past handful of years. And then a couple of partners who are new to us this year, but looking forward to continuing to kind of build those partnerships into the future is GAF, which folks who work in the construction teams are probably familiar with their products, and CSAA. So they're, like I said, new partners that we're excited about, that they're excited about, that we are building to fortified standards. In 2020, SBP was fortunate to be recognized by IBHS as part of their like awards that they host every year, and just acknowledging that we are kind of I guess you could say like leading the way across like nonprofit builders for building to fortified standards. And then for folks that attended the last lunch and learned that Angela hosted, where she shared about our SHARE program, just wanted to point out that we, through our work with Fortified and investment from travelers, we have, this year was the first time we were able to award financial grants to SHARE partners for them to be able to put fortified roofs on projects that they are supporting. So the footprint of building fortified roofs goes beyond just where our operating sites are located. Next slide. All right, so to kind of close this section out, we just wanted to share with folks kind of what the impact across our operating sites is in regards to homes built to fortified, whether that be just fortified roof, I guess I shouldn't say just, to build a fortified roof or to fortified gold. You can see the impact is almost 300 homes as of this month, since we've started this work back in 2019. And on the home, there are just some photos of homes that were built to fortified. All right, next slide, which is just an opportunity to just take any questions that folks have about anything that Cam and I shared. Would love to answer any questions or curiosities.
Y'all must have just explained it perfectly then. Any questions? All
Hey,
right.
I actually,
Oh, there we go.
hey, it's Caitlin Perez. I actually have a question if you don't mind. I am curious to know, like, how did our partnership with Fortified get started? What did that look like?
That's a great question that I actually do not know the answer of because I was not fortunate to be part of those early conversations with travelers. So I'm happy, Caitlin, to find out and kind of follow up with you because I'm not
I can
exactly
chime
sure.
in here.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Great question, Caitlin. So Frances Bouchard, who's currently the SBP board chair, was very good friends with the woman who used to run IBHS when it first got started. And so he made that connection between SBP and IBHS many years ago. And candidly, Caitlin, when we first got introduced to them, we weren't so keen on their standards. And I shouldn't say we, but we shared it with like our construction team, and they poked a bunch of holes in it. And so there was like, I think, some pretty good, healthy dialogue or constructive discontent that happened. And then as their standards evolved and changed, then we got on board with it. So it, yeah, we've known about them for quite some time. And then, you know, as we were able to work with some of our funders like Travelers and some other folks who said, yeah, we will pay for the upgrade here for the additional cost and expense for this fortified roof, we've been able to bring it to many, many more markets. In fact, this is actually really cool. In Opportunity Housing, we were the first developer that works with the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority, which is an agency in New Orleans that became the keeper of a lot of residential lots after Katrina. And they were really tasked with releasing these lots in a way and with funding in a way that would incentivize developers, both for-profit and nonprofit like SBP, to put new single-family homes or duplexes on those lots. And Nora saw us building to the standard, became familiar with IBHS, and now they require all of their developers to build to the fortified standard. So, and in Share, we're also requiring our grantees, just as of this year, to start incorporating the fortified standard as well. And so it's been really kind of exciting to not just do it ourselves, but to teach others and to kind of spread the gospel, if you will, of fortified, because we've seen how it holds up, like Dulcie said, after high wind events, and it works really well. So anything that we can do to shrink that time for people, I think is a really important and smart investment. So that's a little background.
Thanks, Liz.
Very good. Well, if there,
Cam, I was gonna say Cam and I are around. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
awesome. Dulcie, Cam, thank you so much. Awesome presentation. Really great learning about this. Everybody else, thank you so much for attending. Have a great Thursday, and I will send this recording out across the organization for people that missed it. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Dulcie.
Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, guys.